Welcome to Afternoon Live. Happy Thursday, everyone. There is a view outside of our downtown Portland from our Unico US Bancorp Tower camera. Happy Thursday. Thanks for being with us. I'm Hannah Olson. We've got a great show for you today. Our first guest flew into theaters with Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick, and you know him from the hit HBO show Insecure. His new book looks back on growing up with an imaginary best friend. We welcome the author of Did Everyone Have an Imaginary Friend or Just Me? Adventures in Boyhood, actor Jay Ellis. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a very special day, Jay Ellis Day at K2.
It is Jay Ellis Day. I think we're gonna put my name on the building.
I think we should. I think you've made your mark. We were just talking about how much fun you're having on this book tour. I think just watching from social media, it's about the most fun book tour I've ever seen.
It's been pretty fun. I mean, I set out from the beginning and I really wanted to give a bit of a different experience. You know, this book really takes place all in my childhood. It's from I'd say 4 or 5 years old up to 16, and I never talk about being an actor. And I know that people are coming to these events to see Jay Ellis, the actor. And so what I wanted to do was find a way to kind of bring those two worlds together and just really be able to celebrate these stories with people who have shown up to experience, you know, everything that they're going to get when they come to one of my events.
The book is so great. I've loved following along your literal adventures in boyhood. It's such a great title. And you talk about making this Instagram post during COVID and deciding to be vulnerable and say, hey, I had an imaginary friend. Did anybody else? And it went wild.
Yeah. I didn't know this was going to happen, but I think I was at that point where I'd done all the things. I had downloaded Duolingo, but I couldn't really pick up I couldn't break into level 2 yet. I had basically watched a bunch of movies and listened to podcasts.
You baked the sourdough.
I baked the sourdough. I did all the things, and then I found myself just kind of wanting something else. And I don't know, I just walked out one day. I was down at my parents' house. I looked at a bunch of childhood pictures, and it was butt naked baby Jay, and the picture that we all have as a kid, and then toothless wonder Jay.
Oh my gosh, look at this kid.
And then I just kept having all these flashes of this imaginary friend, and then me and my mom started talking to my dad, and I got home, couldn't stop thinking about it. I walked in my backyard and I pulled up my phone, and my beard was over 4 months, 5 months overgrown, and I was just did anybody have an imaginary friend? Because I did, and I just started telling these stories.
Yeah.
And people responded to it, and it was yes, or I didn't, but I wanted one, or my brother had one, or my sister, or my kid has one, and it ended up being this kind of fun exchange.
I was jealous of my friends who had imaginary friends because I thought they were having so much fun that I didn't have access to. And you kind of talk about the scientific research of why it's so beneficial, and creative people especially all kind of connect to having that imaginary friend, especially in their childhood.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I did a ton of research for the book because I really wanted to start the book off in a way that kind of destigmatized imaginary friends and demystified imaginary friends. But in this research, you know, a couple of things I learned. About 68% of kids have imaginary friends. And the broader definition of an imaginary friend is even putting a personality into an object. So if you want to make a doll or a bear or a G.I. Joe or a car talk, you've created something imaginary. That's not real. So there was that. Then there was this piece that you find that boys, I thought this was really interesting, boys tend to create imaginary friends that are better than them at something.
Okay.
Or stronger than them or smarter than them.
Interesting.
Tends to happen, which I also thought was a really interesting thing because that's what was happening in my own journey as I went through these stories in the book. And then the last thing that I thought was really interesting was that most kids, the range is from 4.5, 5 years old to about 11 years old that you see imaginary friends in a kid's life. And it's not that they're going to have it the whole time, but it's somewhere in that span. And it turns out to be this very healthy thing. It's imagination, it's creativity, it's play, it's a coping mechanism, it's a kid's subconscious giving them what they need in that moment in time. And it could be for so many different reasons.
Well, and I wonder if this is unique to your experience where you can pinpoint the moment that your imaginary friend Mikey came into your life. I mean, can you remember it so vividly even now?
Yeah, my dad's gonna kill me for telling this story on television. We were in Tampa, Florida, and my dad, this was back when so my dad bought a TV out of the trunk of a guy's car.
I think I know the end of this story.
And this was the big TVs back in the day, right? Where they were they had the whole back on them. And so the guy apparently opens up the box. My dad sees the screen and sees the plastic around it and is all right, I'll take it, gives him the cash, gets home, takes the box into the house, opens up the box, pulls the front of the TV out, and the box is just filled with bricks. So we're in Tampa. There's a storm. That night, it's Tampa, so it rains all the time. A storm comes in, and my parents are like, my dad is like, I'm going to go out and find this guy. My mom was like, you're not going to go out in a storm and find this guy. You're just going to drive around town?
Justice.
Like, what are you talking about? And so now, and this storm is happening at the same time, and my imagination believes that my room has become a swamp and that there are alligators all around my bed, and I'm terrified to get out of my bed and run to my parents' room. And in this moment of fear and panic, Mikey just pops over my shoulder. My imaginary friend pops over my shoulder and is like, I'm not about to be a Croc's dinner. And then from then, we were just best friends. Like, I didn't ask any questions. Yeah.
Well, and then you kind of talk about, too, describing your parents navigating this new person in the household, because you don't really know what to say at first when your kid brings home an imaginary friend, but then eventually your mom is setting a place for him at the dinner table. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think we probably all hear the stories of like kids are clairvoyant, kids can see. Like, right? It's like kids are tapped into something else. And I think my parents were first like afraid and concerned, like, was someone actually in the house that they did, like, in a secret passage that they didn't know about. And then it turned into like, is he seeing ghosts? I think I make a joke in the book about being Haley Joel Osment, actually. Who I've actually had the pleasure to work with on a movie here in Portland. We worked together where we played brothers, actually.
Oh my gosh.
We played like adopted brothers. But I make a joke in the book about being the kid from Sixth Sense, Haley Joel Osment, and like maybe I was able to see ghosts. And then my parents realized that it was just my imagination that was running wild and free, and they kind of leaned into it. I think because I was moving around so much as an only child, as well, I think they were like, oh, let's let him have this thing. Clearly he wants it, he needs it, let him have it.
Well, it's a big part of the backdrop of that. You're an Air Force kid, you're moving around to different cities all the time as an only child. It's kind of beautiful that they were like, yeah, let's let this thing, it works for him. Why not?
Yeah, and it's interesting because there was no like the language around it wasn't there at the time. Like, now we have so much more language about how we talk to children and support them and big feelings and all of these things. And like the language wasn't there at the time. I think it was more of like, listen, I'm tired. I just got home from work. If you want to sit in the corner and talk to Mikey all day, go do it.
You
I'm
and
very
Mikey
happy.
hang out. You guys have a great time.
Just don't make a mess.
Yes. So now your 4-year-old daughter, I understand, has her own imaginary friend.
Yes, she does.
Do your parents just cackle when you tell them the mischief that this guy Jack is getting up to in your house?
It's really funny because my parents have also encountered Jack at their house too.
Okay.
But it seems like Jack really likes to get in trouble at my house.
Of course.
But at my parents' house, Jack is like on his best behavior for some reason.
Oh, isn't that how it goes with the
really
grandparents? Okay, okay, I see.
It's really interesting. It's like whatever Jack is, it's like basically Jack's been good all day at my parents' house, and then he gets home and he just has to let his hair down and just get wild at our house.
Interesting.
It's funny. It's really funny. They do laugh at it. Because she has such strong feelings about Jack. Like, it's very like, no, he's right there. And like, so it's really funny to see it all. Now me as an adult looking at my daughter who has an imaginary friend, and then thinking of this experience of writing this book and my own stories and what my parents are going through. It is kind of this crazy thing that's like coming around.
It's pretty magical, and it's just nice, I'm thinking of from your daughter's perspective, that you can see it through your adult eyes now and understanding all that. We're going to take a quick break. You're not going anywhere, but we want to let everybody know that you do have this book event at Powell's tonight, City of Books at 7 p.m. on West Burnside, and you're in conversation with Renee Watson.
With Renee Watson.
That's going to be so great. Okay, everything you need to know about the book event is on our website at katu.com. There's the book again. Did everyone have an imaginary friend or just me? Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this. Welcome back to Afternoon Live. We are talking with actor Jay Ellis. His new book, Did Everyone Have an Imaginary Friend or Just Me? Adventures in Boyhood, is in stores now. Well, here's the next question. Did you ever imagine that you'd be a published author?
No.
No.
No. Writing is hard.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. I never thought about writing. Reading a book, reading 300 pages, 250 pages feels crazy sometimes. Having to write them. And by the way, like, you know, I got into this process and I wrote far more than what actually ended up in the book, because then I found myself starting to make sure that the themes that I wanted to tell for this book were ultimately there and how the stories fit. And it was the hardest thing ever. I don't understand how authors do it. Like, I have so much reverence and love and respect for the authors out there, for writers in general, actually, after going through this process.
What's been your parents' reaction? I know they're so proud of everything that you've accomplished in your career on screen, but now reading the book and kind of revisiting these childhood stories through your eyes, what's it been like to share this with them?
I wish I would have shared this picture with you guys, because it's the cutest thing ever. My parents sent me this group text one day in our family chat, and it was a picture of my mom laying in bed, and she's like laying on her side, and then my dad kind of like peeks over her, so his head is like here, and they're both holding a copy of the book. Basically, they sat next to each other and like read the book for like a month or however long it took them to read it. They sat next to each other and like had their own little book club and read the book every single night.
That is the cutest thing I have ever heard.
It was super cool.
Wow.
And then they would call me and they'd be like, hey, so, you know, the street was actually, and I'd be like, okay, thanks for that. I'd be like, let me see if I can tell my editor right now.
Sorry.
1 second. Like, so sorry. Like, I'm one block off. My bad.
The publishing date is tomorrow. I don't think we can correct that page. Okay. When you just got to celebrate with them at one of your events in the LA area, and your Insecure family too.
Yeah.
You guys that's a special cast.
It is a special cast. It's pretty amazing. Everybody showed up. Just in general, it's a really special cast. Like, it's a group that really loves each other and supports each other. And I think, you know, none of us expected that show was going to become what it ultimately became, but we all got to go on that ride and that journey together. And, you know, it's hard to find. I've been doing this a while, and I have a ton of friends who do this, and it's hard to create those like long-lasting friendships, because it is such a transient industry. And then on top of that, you're moving from one project to another, to another, to another. But this is a group that's really stuck together, and everybody came out. It was 500 people at the LA event, and all those guys were there. I did not put them in the front row because I couldn't look them in the eye as I was on stage, so I put them a couple rows back. And Yvonne heckled me from
as she should.
From the audience.
Love that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
My gosh. Well, Insecure, I mean, it's one of my favorite shows. I started rewatching it in anticipation of you being here. Jay, I had to take a break because it cuts too deep. I'm too invested in Issa and Lawrence, and I can't watch them go through trials and tribulations. It's very emotional.
It is a very emotional show. It's really interesting. Like, it just unpacked a relationship in such a different way.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it also unpacked a relationship of being in it, and then really seeing all the cracks, and then seeing like you want the best for a person, but should you be with them, should you not be with them, and then you kind of sometimes have to split up and go live your life to ultimately hopefully come back. At least that's what this story was. But it's amazing how much people have like connected to these characters.
For real.
By the way, across the world, like I've walked into like multiple countries, non-English speaking countries, or not, at least not as their first language, and people will walk up and be like, Lawrence, and then like it's amazing to see people be like, I'm a Lawrence, and I'm like, did you get it together? Did you figure it out?
Are you good?
Yeah, which Lawrence are you? I need to know. Are you like first season Lawrence, or are you last season Lawrence?
Do we need to call
somebody? Is your Issa okay? Like, did you guys make it? But it's really fun, and it's awesome because, you know, you get into this thing as an actor and you hope that you get to do meaningful work, and you hope that the work that you do not only fills your own cup, but hopefully reaches other people and fills their cup and touches them in some way. And this show and these characters were able to do that.
It's so special. We're going to talk about it forever. It's a big part of my personality, how much I talk about Insecure, and tell everyone to watch it. So I'll let you know when I am emotionally ready to start season 2, because season 1 hurt me. I want to ask you about what's coming next. Running Point.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
Running Point's a fun one. It's going to be on Netflix, created by Mindy Kaling, Ike Barinholtz, Dave Stassen, just amazing, comedic, funny minds, brilliant people. They created this story about, it's an office comedy, but it's about a family that runs an NBA team, or a basketball team rather. I don't know if I'm allowed to say NBA, but a basketball team. And Jenny Buss, who owns the Lakers, her family owns the Lakers, and she runs the Lakers organization. She's one of the EPs.
It's pretty cool.
On the show, but it's this comedic take of like what it's like to be both an office comedy and a family comedy, and you happen to be around this like gigantic sport of basketball. The amazing Kate Hudson plays our lead character in the show, and it's funny. It's really, really funny.
I can't wait.
It's
well,
really
how
great.
fun is it to work on a basketball project? Because I know that's like such a passion of yours.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool. I will say this, it's the first time where I was called and not asked to be a basketball player, and that kind of hurt my feelings, because I was like, oh, I'm of an age where I'm no longer believable as a basketball. Yeah, I'm of an age where I'm no longer believable as a basketball player. I'm the coach now. Like, okay, this is great. That was a funny moment, but it's been awesome. Like, it's so fun to like still be on the court. Like, my office every single day was a basketball court, which was absolutely amazing.
Well, let's talk about your time here in Portland when you did play on the court at Concordia, which, by the way, if you go on the Wikipedia page, you are a notable alumni. So there you go.
Thank you, Concordia. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I got to play for Coach Brad Barbrick here in Portland. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and got recruited to come play, and had this amazing time and met so many amazing friends. A lot of them are still here, and a bunch of us are still in contact.
Oh, that's so great.
Some were at my wedding. Some will be there tonight at the event. Wow. Whenever I'm up in Seattle, I see one. Like, and when I'm driving, if I'm driving from here to Seattle, I stop in Olympia and see another one. So it's actually really, really, it's really cool. It's heartbreaking that the school is no longer there.
I know.
But had some really amazing times. I love the city of Portland. It is literally one of my favorite places on earth. So I am forever grateful to this city and to Coach Barbrick, actually, for bringing me here to play for Concordia.
Which led to a pretty unique opportunity when you were an intern for the Blazers at a very special time in our Portland Trail Blazers history.
Yes.
You have stories.
I've learned crisis management. And not from my own crisis, luckily. Not from my own crisis, luckily. I got this internship working in the PR and marketing department for the Trailblazers.
In the early 2000s.
In the early 2000s.
Yes.
It's the 2003, 2004 season. 2002, 2003, 2004 seasons. Which were some rough years.
That was a time.
Those were some dark years. And my job mostly consisted of writing press releases and statements for players after trouble would happen.
After some type of event?
After some event happened. I would have to write like all these statements for Mo Cheeks was the coach at the time. I'd have to write these like statements for Mo Cheeks that he was going to go out and say to the press about like whatever event had happened that between the players that had got them in trouble or got someone suspended or whatever it may be. It was really a wild time.
Man.
It was really but that was like also a crazy talented basketball team. Like there were so many insanely talented players on that team.
We can't not talk about the Top Gun of it all.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you since the film has come out, having a little bit of time to reflect? I mean, the press tour alone, I imagine, for that was just super overwhelming.
Gigantic. It was a huge press tour. I mean, we went to 4 or 5 different countries. We did premieres. I mean, that was crazy. I mean, we were in San Diego, we were in Mexico, we were in Florida, we were in New York, we were in London, we were in Cannes, France, we were in Seoul, South Korea. Tom went to Japan for a moment. Like, it was a really big thing. It was insane. It was amazing. I mean, again, like such a great group of friends, like Danny and Tarzan, who played Payback, and who played Fanboy and Coyote. They actually came to my show on Tuesday night.
Oh, that's so great.
We are all on a text chain, so we talk nonstop. So we're telling Glenn congrats on his movies.
Yeah.
He was renting a house across the street from my house for like 3 weeks on Airbnb. So we saw each other a couple times. We're texting with Monica while she's filming her show.
That's so great.
Like, it's a very tight group.
Oh my gosh.
And it was an amazing experience. Like, Tom really took us under his wing and really showed us so many things. I think like how he's gone about making films and some of the habits that he's picked up along the way that have made him successful, but then also just talking about like lens choices and camera angles and what it's like to be out on tour and how you have to take care of yourself when you're in a different city every single day, which is some of the stuff I use still now, or whether I'm out promoting another movie or a show or this book. It's really, and then I got to sit in a jet. I got to fly a jet.
I mean, that was cool too.
I got to fly a jet.
From
it was crazy.
Playing pretend in an airplane hangar on your dad's base to flying jets in Top Gun.
Yeah.
Like, that's
so
pretty
crazy.
incredible.
So crazy.
Hey, thank you so much for spending a lot of your day with us today. We really appreciate your time. The book is amazing. I can't wait for everyone to read it. Have a great time at Powell's.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Here's all the information, guys. Did everyone have an imaginary friend or just me? The event is tonight at 7 o'clock at Powell City of Books on West Burnside. We'll have everything you need to know on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.